Alrighty, I'm going to summarise that bloke's little goal setting thing. Okay, and I'm going to try and put it in a physics context, but it works for multiple things. The things that you need to do when you're setting your goals, it's all about habit creation. So whenever I sit down and read these goals, I'm about to go up and read my kids' goals in homeroom probably in week 3 or 4 or whatever, and I'll walk around the room and I'll see things like, I want to get an A. How are you going to? I'm going to study more. I'm going to listen in class. I'm going to get VGs on everything. That's great. Great goals. What's the problem with that?
Generic.
It's generic. They're doing it because they just want to get out of having the right goals.
It's not something they have to do.
What do we write?
What do you write? Well, if a kid wants to study more, should they write study more as their goal? What should they be writing?
Study every Sunday.
Needs to be specific. Study every Sunday. I reckon that's wrong. I don't think study every Sunday.
10 minutes every
Establish a work ethic where you study like 5 minutes every day.
Very good. That's the best one I've heard probably ever. Too much though. Too much. 5 minutes, way too much. This is what, if I was that kid, this is what I'd write. Open my book. Every night. Every night open my book. That's all I need to do. Open it. You know what'll happen if you open your book every night?
What?
Some nights you'll open your book and you close it up. That's me done for the night. Open the book. Woo, physics, here we come. But some nights you'll open the book and go, oh, actually, what were we doing in class today? And you'll spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes reading about it. If a kid's goal is to do more homework, what should their goal be?
Take the diary when they have homework to write it down.
Still too much. When do you get homework?
When the lesson starts by.
So couldn't you have something like open your book after physics? Or open your diary every day, check your diary every day? What happens if you check your diary every day? Providing you're using your diary, unlike 80% of the kids.
You know what's going to happen, what's coming up.
You'll know that you've got homework due. Have you ever had not enough time to open your diary on a day? Has there ever been a day where you haven't had enough time to open your diary? Tell me about that day, Mason. It must have been a good day. No, he had not enough time to open his diary. No time. So, the point I'm trying to make with your goals, okay? It needs to be something you can do, or something.
So you should be one of those motivational speakers. Must be kind of feel like I did my
All right. Something, your goal must be something you can never ever say, I haven't got time for that. Ever. Because if you do that, you will say that sometimes. It's a cop-out and you'll succumb to it. So if your goal takes more than 2 or 3 minutes, it's probably much. Sweet? The second thing that your goal needs to be visible and accountable. Accountability is your friend. It helps you be better. If you haven't got any way of knowing how you're... The thing with these goals, you open your book in week 2, you write your goal, you close your book, you never look at the thing again. ever. And I know this because when I sit down for student-led interviews, I'll say to a kid, what's your goal for the subject? And the kid will go, let me just check. They'll open their book and then they'll have some awkward conversation. Did you achieve? Yes, I got my Bunsen burner license. It was great. Okay, and then we have an awkward conversation for 5 minutes. Because they haven't set an appropriate goal. If you set meaningful goals and they're actually meaningful, you should know exactly what it is. Like I should be able to ask you in week 6, how's your goal going? And you should be able to tell me, oh, about 80% of the time I'm hitting it. Now in this video, this guy has this cool board. Alright, he hits a button and it lights up every day. Waste of time. We need like a paper board. It has like, I don't know, like 30 little squares and a title. And then you can turn the page and there's like another 30 squares, sometimes 31. Once every 12 times is 28. Except every 4 years is 29. What's that? It's a calendar, okay? So, you'll know that in the movies, when people are counting down days for stuff, they'll put the crosses through the calendar. It's about mid-year. If you haven't got a calendar, go to the local newsagent. They cost about $2 right now, okay? You only need one for the next 6 months. If you can't afford that, look up calendars on Google, save a PDF, print it, the library, that'll cost you about 30 cents. Black and white, always go black and white, unless you really like the class. That's why you guys always get black and white printouts. No problem. So, you need to have it visible and accountable. That can be a highlighter, that can be... So in your room somewhere, you should have something up where you can track your goals. If you want to have an accountability calendar for a number of your... So you set a number of goals for your classes. If only there was some way of like differentiating with colour the achievement of different goals. There isn't. There's no way I could like have a calendar with a square like, I don't know, the first of a month, and I couldn't put like a blue line if I'd achieved my physics goal, a red line if I'd completed my math goal. If you've got another goal, but who cares about the other subjects, okay? At the end of the month, you'd have a pretty good idea about how you were going with your goals. And also, every time you walked into your room and you saw that, what would you be reminded of?
To do it.
You'd be reminded, do the thing that you said you were going to do. Sweet? So that's the second thing. The last thing it needs to be is habit forming. Because setting goals and thinking about this stuff's really hard. It takes mental effort, and you've only got so much of that. You've only got so much energy and mental effort you can invest into thinking about this sort of stuff. So after a while, what you need to have is that a habit forms. And then you don't even think about opening your book every night because you're doing it automatically. You could look at fitness and all sorts of aspects where this occurs. If you need to motivate yourself to go to the gym, you don't get fit because after 3 months it gets too hard. What you need to do is create habits where going to the gym just becomes part of your normal routine. Same thing with setting goals and doing your study and keeping up with whatever you want to achieve. It needs to get to a point where in 6 months' time, a habit is formed. And that's why this stuff needs to happen now. Because the first 6 months is about forming the habit. The first 6 months, first year, is about getting yourself in a position where this becomes normality. And once it becomes normality, it won't be a struggle to open your book at home. It'll just be something you do. So doing homework was a struggle for me. I had better things to do. After 6 months or after a year, I'd set aside 8 to 9 o'clock, just sit down in the room and do the job. Because I knew it had to be done. I was aware that the habit had formed, and I was all good. I didn't even think about it. So your goal needs to be those three things. Something you can never say you haven't got time for. Needs to be forming a habit that you want in your life around your academic studies, preferably in physics. And it needs to be visible and accountable. So when you go home in the next week, I would love to see a situation where every person's got in their room something, a calendar, and something dedicated to their goals. Now, physics isn't one of the main three areas. That's fine. I don't care if it's in my subject or something else. This is something that you need to be doing to improve yourself. So have whatever you think is the most important, that needs to be visible and accountable. Sweet. Don't make it too hard. Let's get going. Do it.